Together we are but first coffee. Suzy's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Suzy welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Suzy.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm doing good. It's kind of chilly here today. This weather, Oklahoma, it can never decide what it's going to do. So we can actually have like 2 or 3 seasons in one day. So no surprises there. So, yes, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I cut my hair, y'all, and I blonded it. That's what my dad says. You blonded it. So, yeah, I was hot and bored. So I got the scissors and the clippers and went to town on it. And now I'm cold. So, but I like it better. It was just, it had that old yucky stuff on it from all the chemo and everything. And I just was fighting it and fighting it. It was so dry. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to cut it off and be done with it. And then when it grows in, it'll be nice and healthy. So it's a lot healthier already. It was amazing just cutting that little bit, or not a little bit, but cutting that off of it. It really made a big difference. So I hope everybody's doing well today and happy and healthy and all that. Today we're going to welcome one of my favorite people to the show, and that my favorite kind of show to do is one where I do a get to know you. And so today's guest is a fellow content creator. You might already know her. She's my newest mod, and she's one of the first friends that I made whenever I started on YouTube. It's Kelly, and she is one tough cookie, but she is also a beautiful soul, y'all. And I admire her so much. I admire her passion and her resilience, and I don't know, she's a true literal survivor. She's battled addiction since she was 17. She's survived prison twice. She overcame a devastating accident that left her in a wheelchair and was even homeless during the pandemic. I mean, y'all, I think she's done her dues, y'all. I really do. She makes gorgeous handcrafted jewelry, and she's an advocate for the ex-Scientology community, and pretty much just a good person and a good friend to have. So, anyway, but she's also managing to take care of all this and stay, happy and healthy and awesome while she's actually living as roommates with her ex-husband, which I could not do. I ugh. I actually love my ex-husband. He's, we're good friends, but I could not live with him. It wouldn't work. And on top of that, she's estranged from her family, which has got to be the most heartbreaking thing of all. And so, I just am really excited that she's here. Now, before I bring her out, I do want to check in with the chat before it gets too big, because you know how that goes. If I don't do it now, I won't get to say hi to hardly anybody. So, I'm gonna, you know, check with the chat, and then we're gonna bring Kelly out. So, Mischief, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, if you have not already subbed to Kelly, she does have her channel, and Mischief has it there at the top of the chat. So please go give her some love. Go over there and like and subscribe and view her shows. She's really good. She does a lot of jewelry content. She also does some Reese content. So she's something. Yeah, she is something. So anyway, Darcy's, it's good to see you. Mare, always good to see you. And in case you all didn't see it last night, Mare was on Kelly's channel for the game night and won by one, but she won, which was pretty cool considering she's like, I'll come in dead last. I'm terrible at games. I suck. I'm awful. She just went on and on. And me and Kelly like probably took an hour just trying to convince her to do it the night before, but she did it. And I think she had a good time. So and she won the imaginary trophy. Yeah. So it's always fun to bring home that imaginary trophy. Joe McCoy, so good to see you. It has found me well. I hope it finds you well too, and everybody else. Goodness. Joel says, today has been a reminder to me how life has good and bad, happy and sad. Let's all remember to be kind to each other. We are all in this together. We absolutely are, Joel. And I hope that it, hasn't been too bad of a day for you. And we're here for you, whether it was or wasn't. We're here for you because everybody loves you. You're great. Indigo Twin, good to see you. She's coming over from Kelly's channel. Good to see you. Good to have you. Sarah Bowman, thank you for being a member and thank you for being here. David, same to you. Thank you for being a member and thank you for being here. Sandy, hello. You made it for a live. That's right. Oh, goodness. Rocking it out for life. Kim is here. She's coming over from Kelly's channel. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Indigo says, "Live your best life, girl. It's amazing that you can cut and color. If after all of that, or after all that you've been through." Yeah, I'm just glad to have hair. I did hair for, I say 100 years, but it was 20 something years, right at 30 years, I think total. And you know, it was great, but I still do my own most of the time. So I don't know. Yeah, funny, David. I'll put that up there, but I'm not going to read it out loud quite yet. We're still a few minutes short of saying some of those. Yeah. I wish my hair would just go this color and then I wouldn't have to do that. Wouldn't that be something? Uh, oh, Brian Lucas is here. Good to see you. He's coming over from Kelly's channel. Good to see you. Okay. Aw, Sandy likes the short hair. It looks nice. Thank you. Okay, we're getting down towards the end. Brian Lucas says, "There's no way in Hades that I'd live with my ex-wife." Whoops, she's the worst. I know, right? She's got to be like the bravest woman I know, or dumb to live with the ex, but I mean, whatever works for them, it's great. It beats the alternative. Daniel Sanders, good to see you coming over from Kelly. She's got quite a few here today. Hey, Nikki, good to see you. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Hey, John, good to see you. So glad you're here. Thank you so much for being a mod. Lynn, it's so good to see you. It really is. Yeah, I want white hair too. I really do. And it's pretty white right now. I did the bleaching today. I have not decided yet on if I'm gonna, you know, put some kind of a toner on it to make it not be quite as white or what I'm gonna do. I've also got some like a baby blue that I'm kind of thinking about kind of combing a few strands in here and there. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll just see how crazy I get. uh, Lori Driscoll, I can't remember. I don't think I said hi to you yet. So if I did, then you just got it twice, I guess. Good to see you. I don't think I did though. Anyway, guys, thank you all for being here. I really, really do appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. And the ones that have come over that are watching from hey, Awakened by the Looking Glass. Good to see you. Gonna be working, so I can't chat, but we'll be here listening. Well, that is fine. Whatever works for you. It's always good to see you. Always good to see you. So anyway, y'all, I'm just gonna bring her out on the stage. Are you ready, Kelly? She was brushing her hair. I didn't want to bring her on and she's not quite ready. So we're gonna bring her onto the stage and let's get this party started. Whoops. Hey.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me, Suzy.
Yeah, you've got a bunch of people watching from your channel. I was really impressed. That's good.
Yeah, I
Really.
have a small group. It's growing. I love everybody, though. We have a lot of crossovers, which I think is
Yeah,
great.
I do too.
And I want to say a special hi to Daniel Sanders, though. He's been so kind to me. So, hi, Daniel.
Aw.
And everybody else. I don't want to leave anybody else out, but I don't have
Yeah.
everybody's name
But
in front of
it's
me.
okay to call somebody out every once in a while. It really is.
I'm
Oh,
going to turn
hi,
the
A Tribe Called
comments.
Duff. Good to see you. And yeah, A Tribe Called Duff is here. Just a quiet, peaceful dance. I love that name. Just a quiet, peaceful dance.
I just turned on the chat. I forgot I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yep. You
yeah,
sure can. So I have so many questions for you. Now, I do know some of your story. You've told me some of it in the past. Not all of it, but well, you wrote it, right? You were writing it and
I am
you read
writing a
it.
life story. I
Yeah, and
haven't
you
gotten
write
haven't gotten very
amazing.
far, but
You write so well. You need to do
uh,
that. You really do. I was like riveted. I was seriously. I'm not I One thing that I tell all my guests, and I'm serious about it, if I don't think it, I don't say it. So if I tell you that
yeah.
it was, it was.
Well,
I
I
don't just like
appreciate that.
toss out those, compliments just to be nice. I'm not
Right.
that nice.
Just to kiss butt.
Yeah, I don't just kiss them butt. Yeah. But anyway, y'all, before we do get into the questions, I do want to tell you, Kelly, that this is not an inquisition. If there is something that you're not comfortable talking about, just tell us. If there's a question from the chat or something, my dog's in here. Then if you don't want to
I'll
answer it,
plead the
you
fifth.
don't have to answer it,
I can take the
huh?
fifth. I can plead the
Yep, absolutely. So, and for the chat, y'all, if you would please just make it easier for Mischief, and she's in the back office and she's going to be starring comments. But if you could put like CC if you have a comment that you want to make to me or Kelly that you want to make sure we see it, or QQ if you have a question. Because so much of the time y'all are chatting amongst yourselves and we love that, don't get me wrong.
yeah.
But it makes it so much easier so we don't miss those important questions or comments or whatever. So if you'll just do that, that'll make it so much easier for us. So, okay, let's get this party started, Kelly. So, where do you
Okay.
want to start? You were saying to me in the back that you've been an addict since you were 17. So, let's just start somewhere even before that, or but
Okay.
early. Let's start
Well,
early.
let me just say, I said 17. That's actually when I started doing drugs. So I probably didn't
Oh,
start
okay.
out an addict, but I
Yeah, but yeah,
before that, my mom, she and my dad married. They eloped right out of high school, and so they were very young when they
wow,
had. I'm the firstborn. Um, they were in. He got a scholarship to play at TCU, Texas Christian
hmm,
University, to play football and track. And she started working immediately. And so, they were struggling and they had a kid early. Then they had my sister, and then they split up. And I
oh,
think I was two. But
hmm,
he got drafted to play professional football, but that was in Canada.
oh
And
yeah,
so, yeah, but his best friend did play for the Miami Dolphins when they won both Super
wow,
Bowls. So that was pretty cool. But
yeah,
anyway,
that is,
she got her second husband, who is our stepdad, Larry Ford, very
yeah,
abusive. He adopted my sister and I. That's why I have the last name Ford, like the car.
yeah,
But I kept it because it was so easy.
yeah,
But yeah, and I think trouble started for me and my sister right when she met that man. And
hmm,
it was me and my sister, and then they had my two brothers. So I have two half brothers, and they were always treated better by him.
yeah,
Long story short, they ended up getting divorced, and I think I was 13.
wow,
And yeah, and my sister ran away when she was 11. 2 years later, she ended up running away when she was 13. She's never been home since. I mean, we talked to her and we're in each other's
yeah,
lives. But, I mean, it was crazy. I remember
wow,
that was devastating when your little sister
yeah, I
runs away.
bet.
We were living in Houston, and she went all the way to Austin. So it was really
Oh,
strange.
wow,
But my real dad was never in our lives. This is the story. It was too sad for him when he had to drop us off from visitation, so he just chose not to see us.
oh yeah,
What kind of father does that? He never paid a
yeah,
penny of child support, but I don't think my brother asked for it. My second
yeah,
dad, we weren't rich by any means, but we were comfortable, and
hmm,
so I don't think my mother just didn't want to deal with my real father. But
yeah,
anyway, so it was me and my mom while I was in high school. Pretty much, I got a driver's license and a car when I was 15. So because in Texas at the time you could do that it's called
mhm,
a hardship license. So I thought I
yeah,
was a big deal, getting to drive at 15. And um, then my senior year, my mom had moved closer to her third husband. He wasn't her husband at the time, but he was very rich. And she moved to a real nice neighborhood across town. And so I was driving back and forth to finish my senior year at my high school, but it got to be too much because it was an hour drive. And that's a
yeah.
lot for a high
It
school,
is. It is a
you
lot.
know and I was on the drill team. So by the time I would get home at night after practice, it would be 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It was.
Mhm.
So I changed high schools my senior year, but then
Wow.
I started, and I didn't make many friends. I started. You only had to be 18 to drink back then. So I
Yeah.
started going to the nightclubs. And there was this real fancy one. You had to have a private membership. And Now, mind you, I was probably 16 and turning 17 by this time. And that's the Houston Oilers would go there, some Houston Rockets, it was the club was a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, the manager fell for me. So, imagine that. So he was like in his mid 30s and I was 17.
Wow.
And I thought I was really hot shit then, being able to go
I
in
bet.
and out of this club. And so I mentioned that's when I started doing cocaine. It was all over the place. I graduated high school in 1980. So, I mean, that was right in the middle of when cocaine was everywhere.
Yeah.
Boy, I did that first line. I didn't like it, but by the end of the night, I sure did,
Yeah.
and
Decided it wasn't too bad.
It was downhill from there. And as a matter of fact, the last semester of high school, I failed my best subject, English. So I didn't get to graduate with my class. I had to go to summer school and I did graduate, but I had sent out my invitations and everything.
Oh my gosh.
I know I didn't get to go through the ceremony, but so cocaine started affecting me right away in life. Of course, back then it was not that big of a deal. I was disappointed, but so I enroll in college and break up with the nightclub guy, and I meet my ex-husband. Now I was 17. I think he was 42.
Wow.
And yeah, I know. And college was like 3 hours away. So I'd be driving back and forth. Now he was a cocaine dealer.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought I hit
So what did your mom think about these older men?
Oh, she never knew about the first one, but she hates him. She hates him to this day. And I don't blame her. I can, looking back, I wish I would have listened to her. I really do.
Yeah.
So if there's any kids listening, I don't think there are kids listening, but listen to your mother.
You never know.
She put me in rehab once, had the police come get me from his house. And I was 18 by that time, but she told him I was 17. So I know she put me in a psychiatric ward. That's where rehab was in the days. When I got out, I immediately started doing the stuff again. And I thought I was happy. Ended up after that summer, after I graduated high school and met him, one day I went to his house and he's like, now I was enrolled in college in Austin, outside of Austin. And I just totally failed that first semester because I was hardly ever there, So that was a wash. And I stopped talking to my mother by that time because she was such a nag,
Yeah.
And I didn't want to listen to her shit. But one day I went to Richard's house and he was packing up and I'm like, where are you going? He said, I'm moving to California. I said, oh, I want to go. Hold on. He said, you do? I said, yeah. And so I went home and when she was at work, grabbed what I could. I guess I took some clothes. I don't even remember, and we drove out of there. I moved to California and never looked back. So,
oh my goodness.
This whole time we were doing coke and I was doing a lot. And so we ended up moving. Well, we moved to California in with one of his friends and who was a stained glass artist. And so I was able to learn, and I knew I was artsy and I liked art stuff. Well, he hired me to help him do a step that I could do. But anyway, I
Mhm.
learned how to make stained glass windows,
That's
which,
amazing.
yeah, it really benefited
I
me
love
later.
stained glass windows. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, glass! I could spend the whole day in a stained glass warehouse buying
Mhm.
glass. Oh,
Yeah.
they make beautiful glass,
Yeah, it
and
is.
and I'm not talking about the kind of stained glass windows that you see in a church. Like usually it's that
Yeah.
old dark stained glass, and
Yeah.
they paint the faces
Yeah.
on it. That's not the kind I do. I use
Yeah.
pastels, and I mean, yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, we ended up moving to Las Vegas probably about, I want to say a year, a little less than a year later, where we
Mm.
stayed for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were still doing Coke that whole time. And I was the assistant manager at the Neiman Marcus store there. I ended up enrolling in the community college. I got an associate's degree in data processing. I knew how to write computer programs is what I learned, which I
Mhm.
hated. I never got a job doing that.
Yeah.
But by the time I figured out I didn't like it, and there were so many people so much smarter than me, I was a semester shy of getting my, degree. So I stuck it out. And then 11, so fast forward 11 years, and he kept on dealing Coke and saving money and saving money. And so we built a house out of pocket, just a small
Wow.
little 1-bedroom house on an acre and a quarter outside of Las Vegas. And 11 years later, we ended up getting married. Don't ask me why. That was the dumbest thing. Well, I knew why I did it. I knew why I did it. I mean, for all those years, I really did love him. I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
I understand that.
but I know now, he is a narcissist. And I tell him this to his face. Of course, he can't see it. Narcissists never can. They say if you ask yourself or wonder if you're a narcissist, you probably aren't, because at least
Yeah.
you're, having those kind of
Yeah.
thoughts. I ask myself sometimes, could I be? So I think I'm safe. But he might say different. But
Yeah.
anyway, by the time 11 years later, when we were getting married, I knew that it wasn't going to last much longer. I had grown up.
Yeah.
He met me when I was 17. I had grown
Yeah.
up. I was like 30, early 30s, and I knew I was learning myself, and
Mhm.
I didn't need a father figure anymore. You know what I mean? Well,
Mhm.
I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get my share out of this marriage or out of this relationship is if we get married. So I got married for the wrong reason, and it ended up backfiring. So I don't suggest you marry for anything except love.
Yeah.
But so we got married. It lasted for about 2 more years. And we had quit cocaine off and on during a couple of times. But I was back on it towards the end. And one day and our relationship got very, very physically abusive at the end.
Yeah.
He does not remember any of it. Don't ask me
Really?
how. No.
Me.
I honestly thinks I'm making stuff up, or I'm thinking of someone else. I'm not. He's 88. I'm 62. Sometimes when you're that old, your thinking's a little,
Yeah.
and we do
Yeah.
remember different things because, we'll talk about like the good old days, quote unquote. But he remembers different stuff that was good than I remember, but that's just
Mhm.
how it is. But so one day he was gone, and I left, and went to a friend's house and never looked back. And shortly after that, and he was devastated, just devastated.
Hmm.
And by that time, I didn't like him at all.
Yeah. You didn't
So,
care if he was devastated.
so
No.
then I ended up meeting someone that was 10 years younger than me. So
Oh, wow.
I swore to myself I would never be with someone older. No one was ever going to tell me what to do. You know,
Yeah.
I had enough of that. So I
Oh,
ended up moving to Missouri from Las Vegas, of all places. It was the
yeah.
biggest culture shock.
I bet.
Oh,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I forgot to mention during that time we lived in Las Vegas, we did have a bit, he's an artist too, but he's a
Uh-huh.
painter. He paints in, oils and acrylics and,
Uh-huh.
but we did have a stained glass window business and we did very well. He would draw the patterns. So all of
Mhm.
the designs were original designs, which was a big selling point,
Well, yeah.
I would make them and then we would go in and install them.
Mhm.
And so we made, pretty good money doing that. So had my degree but my working was kind of hit and miss because I didn't always have to work.
Mhm.
So, but when I moved to Missouri, I had never had to pay my own bills before,
Yeah.
and like that was a culture shock too.
Yeah, it is.
And
It
in
is.
Missouri, it snows there, and so we lived in Lake Ozark, which is different from the Ozarks.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
this is up by Jefferson City, and right in between Kansas City and St. Louis. But so I moved there, and in the winter, everything closes down because it was a resort area,
Mhm.
and so people usually leave, but a few of us, stuck it out through the year. Well, I had to make money, so the only thing open really besides the grocery store and the Walmart and a few restaurants there was 2 strip bars. So I got a job cocktail waitressing and did really good, and was starting to pay my own bills. But as I started to meet people, I got into the Coke again.
Mhm.
And so
Now, so about when was this?
this was the early, I want to say like 93.
Uh-huh.
I think that's when I left Las Vegas, 93,
Okay.
94. And a couple of years after that, so at this strip club, one day, only one dancer showed up. So, of course, there was a group of golfers there. And this was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think we opened. And they weren't having it. They weren't just going to watch one girl. And so they started buying me drinks, and so the
Yeah.
story goes, I ended up on this stage taking my top off. Oh my gosh, it was the scariest thing I think I've ever done.
I can imagine.
But anyway, then the money was so good.
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another. So I stopped cocktailing. Now it was only topless. So
Yeah.
as strip bars go, that's pretty mild because
Oh, yeah.
anything can happen in some of those places.
Yeah.
But and so typical stripper story, doing cocaine, and I end up getting in trouble by an outfit out of San Antonio, Texas, had bought our club in Missouri, and
Mhm.
so the owner fell for me. Out of all the dancers, and I was older. I was like 30, and these girls were 21. you know,
Yeah.
and I was the only one that used my real name because I tried a
Mm.
fake name, but they would be calling me and to stage, and I would just like not hear it, you know. So I just used my own name. And anyway, the owner fell for me, and he was flying in from St. Louis, and where the club was about a 2.5 hour drive from St. Louis. So he asked if I would pick him up. And so I did. And of course, I run late for everything. I have my whole life. I'm not a punctual person. And I was running late. So I was speeding, got pulled over. And oh, let me back up. I have to back up just a minute. I was already in trouble. I forgot about this. So when I moved to Missouri, it was the middle of winter, and the guy that I moved there with, he was 10 years younger than me. So he was only like 20 or 20. No, he's 21. And neither one of us had money. His friends didn't have money. And him and this other guy ended up robbing a house. I was sitting in the car, and when they were doing this, the police pulled up, and they jumped in the lake to get away. And I was like left there. They had broken a window, and I knew, I'm not going to say I didn't know what they were doing. And I knew,
Yeah.
you know, they were going in to rob a house. And since I wasn't the one doing the actual deed, I thought, well, how much trouble can I get into? Plenty. Okay.
Yeah.
I was the getaway driver. So we ended up getting caught. I was the only one that got caught that night. I went and spent, I think 2 weeks in jail in this tiny little Missouri jail. It was crazy. I was sleeping on the floor because they only had one cell for women. And the cell was, I mean, about the size of a large bathroom, I'm telling you. And it was crazy. I ended up getting out on bond, but it was a federal case. No, not that one. I got probation on that. And I finished probation, but towards the end, my boyfriend at the time and the same guy that robbed the house was working at a hotel, and he snagged someone's credit card, and we all used it. And so the feds, since the credit card was from Illinois and we were in Missouri, it became a federal case. I ended up getting probation for that and paying back $1,000 that I spent or something like that. So when I was driving to St. Louis, I was on federal probation already, you know.
Yeah.
But when I got pulled over, since I was on probation, that gave them the right to search my vehicle. And that's when they found it was under 2 grams, I think they said. I don't even know the amount, but of a controlled substance. So back to jail I go. I ended up getting out of that, and it was my first time dealing with the courts. I mean, I dealt with the courts for probation, but never had to appear like in court in front of a judge that I remember. And everything always got worked out. I don't know. Anyway, so I had a public defender and didn't know how the system worked. And when I went in, the judge said, how do you plead? I said, well, I did it. I'm guilty. Now, my public defender should have told me never be guilty. And that was the dumbest thing I could have done. Y'all,
I would have done it too. Yeah.
if it's your first time, even if you're guilty, never plead guilty, you guys. They don't care if you're really guilty or not at that point. But if you plead guilty, they have to sentence you. Okay? And I didn't know that. And so he gave me the minimum sentence right then and there. And they handcuffed me and took me to prison. Yeah, I got a 2-year sentence. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did this
Mm.
happen? You
Yeah.
know? And then I found out after I got to jail that that attorney never should have let me plead guilty. So,
Yeah. Wow.
so the judge ended up sending me to a rehab. DOC stands for Department of
Mhm.
Corrections.
Yeah.
And he sent me to a DOC rehab, which is minimum security. And it was
Yeah.
in an old hospital, so it didn't look like a prison. It didn't really feel like a prison, except we had to all wear the same clothes. And they were
Yeah.
gray. They were gray. They weren't orange.
Yeah.
Oh. And so every 3 months, the judge would check to see how you were doing. You know, they would send him a
Mhm.
report. And I ended up being one of the trustees or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I was doing real good, and there was no reason I wouldn't have been able to go home after like 3 or 6 months, except
Oh, no.
when
Mm.
when I pled guilty and got handcuffed and taken to jail. I had to appear in front of the judge one more time. I think it was right before Christmas, and I had asked if I could start my sentence at the day after Christmas, and the
Mhm.
judge agreed to it. So I was to turn myself in by midnight Christmas night.
Mhm.
Well, it started
Oh.
a snowstorm happened, and we were at the lake, and I couldn't get out. We couldn't
Yeah.
not drive. I ended up getting there like at 6 in the morning,
Yeah.
and the judge did not go for that at all. He didn't care what
Yeah.
snowstorm happened. You know, I was late. So instead of getting to go home after 3 or 6 months, I think 6 months later, I finished the rehab program, and they shipped me to a medium security prison in Missouri, and I ended up doing 6 more months waiting for the parole board.
Mm.
And um, I gained, and let me tell you, Missouri prisons are not that bad. They let you have a curling iron. They let you have a blow
Oh,
dryer.
really?
Yeah, you can have like tennis shoes and sweatshirts or t-shirts sent in from the outside.
Mhm.
Of course, um, some girl we were allowed to have somehow if you came in, I think with lipstick and nail polish, they would let you have it until it ran out. I sold my
Mm.
my fingernail polish for a lot of money. You could,
Really?
yeah, you could still smoke at the time in prisons. I think there's not one now in the United States that you can smoke in, maybe, but I think they all stopped smoking um, like 15 years ago. But
Hmm.
so, like I said, I gained a lot of weight. I was miserable though, but
Mm.
it wasn't as bad as the next time I got in trouble, which I'll get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was devastating at the time, but I spent a year gone. And so that was that.
Mhm.
After that year, I had been back in touch with my mom. When you're in prison, you need your mommy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need
I
you
can
need money.
imagine.
You need stamps. You need money. So I got back in touch with her, and she was nice enough to help me out while I was there. And so when I got out, she bought me a used Cadillac, and my sister was living in California, and she had just had her third child, but she was going through a divorce. And my mom said, why don't you move there and you can help her out and, you'll have a place to live and get a job. I had a car. And so I took another boyfriend with me. We drove. He was younger than me too, but he was like even more younger is not the way to say it. That's incorrect English.
Yeah.
He was younger than the other younger one.
Yeah.
He was 12 years younger. But so I took him with me, and we moved to Northern California. Outside of, you know what? I'm so dumb. I wondered where my soda went. I swear this was like in between my legs. That's how numb it is below my waist. I did not feel this.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I can't believe I didn't feel that till now. I wondered what happened to my soda. I knew I went to the fridge and grabbed one. Now it's hot. So anyway, moved to Northern California outside of San Francisco to this little town. It was the first state capital of California. It's called Benicia, kind of like Venetia, but it's with a B, Benicia. It's a little main street, cute little town. And I lived there for about 5 years. Of course, I was not doing drugs at the time until until I started meeting people again. But my drinking had picked up. I wasn't, doing drugs, but
Yeah.
people with addiction problems often substitute if they
Oh, yeah.
stop
Absolutely.
doing one. And I was drinking pretty heavy, and I would it would get, so I met this one guy, the other guy that I took with me to California. We ended up splitting up because he was a real bad alcoholic. But so I met this other guy, and he had a little bit of money, and it was fun. Those were the good old days.
Yeah.
I feel like Tom DeBach talked about the good old days.
Yeah.
Really, there's not that. I mean, there was some good things. My life was not terrible, at the time. I've had a lot of good experiences. Like when I lived at the lake in Missouri, I knew all of the people that had the biggest boats. So, I was in the in group.
Yeah.
And we used to have a blast in the summer at that lake. And so in California, I got a job at the yacht club. That's how I met this man with a little bit of money, but him and his brother lived together. And so I ended up moving in with them. And I worked just waitressing a couple of times a night. They wouldn't let me work at the yacht club if I was dating a member. So I got another job. And I was bartending, and it's easy to drink when you're bartending.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've done it.
So, and him and his brother drank too. Not like me, because they didn't get up in the morning and have orange juice and vodka like I did,
Yeah.
They would have coffee.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I was drinking a lot, and it just went down so easy. I would keep a bottle of Captain Morgan's and a bottle of Jägermeister and a bottle of Goldschlager all in the freezer, and I'd just do shots all day.
Yeah.
Because shots work so fast,
Yeah.
I didn't have to wait for that feeling.
Absolutely.
And so I got a DUI in California. I didn't do any jail for it. And then I got a second, and I only lived in California for like 5 years, but I ended up getting pulled over a second time, and I blew right at .08. So I didn't get a DUI, but I got what is called a wet and reckless. So if I had gotten a third one, I would have been in prison. It's 3 strikes. I ended up, thank God. I didn't stop drinking though.
Mm.
But I ended up um, leaving that boyfriend, or no, he left me. He said, "You need to go to rehab." I'm like, "I'm not going to rehab. Are you crazy?" And I went away for the weekend. And when I came back, all my stuff was moved out of his house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that was
Uh,
devastating. That was just totally
that's what I did
devastating.
with my ex-husband. He went away, to buy new mattresses and came back 3 days later.
Oh my gosh.
And so all of his stuff was sitting on the lawn. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
yeah.
I did that to a boyfriend. I caught him. Our car that we bought together was in front of some girl's house, and he came home and all his stuff was out. But see, I was the boss because he was younger than me. I could. Isn't that terrible? Ah,
Yeah.
um, I'm just gonna light this real quick. I'm sorry.
That's fine. No, you're fine.
And you know what? I am trying to slow down because someone told me yesterday I need to stop smoking. Merrily, I think maybe. But I woke up and only had one cigarette, and instead of
Oh,
rushing
wow.
to the store before going live, I didn't. I thought, just try to make it.
Mhm.
You can wait a few hours. So I'm going to try to start slowing down. I love
Good.
cigarettes. I really do
Yeah.
love them,
Yeah.
especially with coffee. But I
Yeah.
really need to stop because I've been smoking cigarettes since I was in high school, 17, 16. I
Wow.
think I started with cigarettes. And
Wow.
so where was I? Oh, so he had moved all my stuff out, but he was nice enough to put it in storage. He didn't have it on the lawn.
He's nicer than me.
So I thought that was really nice of him.
Yeah, it was.
He said, "I'll pay for your storage for a month while you find
Yeah.
yourself a place." I ended up moving in with another bartender girl, and um, I mean, that was kind of hit and miss. Never had all of my rent just because I wasn't making that much money. And plus, I was doing Coke again.
Yeah.
But this time I was selling it so I could do mine for free. You know,
Yeah.
that's real
Mhm.
smart.
Oh,
Not.
yeah.
Anyway, I ended up sliding through everything in California by the skin of my teeth, except that's where I had my bicycle accident. Now, I was
Yeah.
like 35 and starting to think, well, I'm getting older and I don't go to the gym. I think I'd been to the gym once in my whole life and hated it. And I thought I
Mhm.
needed to, at least get some exercise. So I bought
Yeah.
this old Schwinn. It was so cool. It's like Pee Wee Herman
Oh,
style Schwinn bike.
yeah.
It had all its original parts. And I lived in that little
Wow.
main street town. It had baskets on either side in the back. And so I would
That's
take it to
cool.
the grocery store. I would ride it back and forth to work. I would go to the beach every day and look for beach glass. And so I rode my bike everywhere.
Mm.
So I ended up meeting another guy, of course, who was a friend of mine. I had actually known him for a while. We were just friends, but then we started dating. And we moved to outside of Lodi, California. There's
Mhm.
um, a what do you call it? A resort. And so we moved there and got jobs at the resort. And I had my bicycle. I had an old Volvo too, but I was, riding my bike everywhere. And it was Labor Day weekend,
Mhm.
and I was bartending. And so I had a few drinks, of course. And I got on right before we closed, two guys asked me if I wanted some ecstasy. And I said, yes, I haven't done that in years. So I took it, and it turned out
Mhm.
not to be ecstasy. It was, what's that date rape drug called? Do you know what it's called?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it,
I
but yes.
forget, but it was not ecstasy. I was so miscombobulated. could not even remember how to get home. I got on my bike, which was a bad mistake, and I went over a 2-foot drop off. My front tire did. It was like a boat ramp type thing with a sidewalk running
Mhm.
alongside, and the
Yeah.
railing had stopped, so I thought it was safe to turn. So I turned, but they just stopped the railing short. They shouldn't have. And so I went over the handlebars, landed on my left forehead. That's why my wrinkles are mainly on this side, because they pulled this together. So I had like a
Yeah.
little
A little
mini
mini facelift.
facelift on half my face, and it
Mm.
affected me from the waist down. The ambulance got there and they're like, "Can you move your legs?" And I'm like, "No, I can't even feel my legs." So they put that thing around
Mhm.
me, took me to the hospital, and now I didn't break my neck, but I injured it bad enough to where they didn't know how much I would get back. Now, mind you,
Mhm.
I could hardly move my arms either. I can move them, but I couldn't move like close my fingers. Um, I couldn't I remember signing my name, I think with
Mm.
an X. Someone had to help me hold my hand, and I just put an X.
Yeah.
Um, and since my neck wasn't broken, but they could see an injury at C4, 5, and 6. And so they didn't know how much I would get back and all that. And I was just happy to be alive. You know, I guess
Mhm.
I went into I didn't go into a coma though, but I was going in and out. I remember getting
Yeah.
to the hospital, and um, I remember bits and pieces. But anyway, when I woke up in the hospital bed, I was just happy to be alive. That's what I remember.
Mhm.
And so I was in the hospital for about a month. They had me up
Mm.
and walking 2 days after my accident with a walker down this hospital hallway. I'm like, how do y'all expect me to do this? I can't even feel my feet.
Oh,
They're like,
wow.
you don't have to feel your feet to walk. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so
Ugh.
they're like, no, and so it's true, but it was very hard, very hard.
Well,
And I could
yeah.
only take
I
like
can
2
imagine.
steps. But they said you need to start moving as soon as you can. So every
Mhm.
day I would have to do physical therapy. And I would roll my eyes, and oh my gosh, they had to help me shower. I
Mhm.
couldn't even brush my teeth. I couldn't wipe my bottom. I couldn't do any of that stuff. It was very embarrassing at first.
Yeah, but they're worried
But
about well,
so my mom and my aunt, a month later, they surprised me and came to visit me. Well, the doctor knew I didn't really have a place to go. My boyfriend had skidooed by that time. He didn't want
yeah.
anything to do with me anymore. He picked up my last paycheck and cashed it
Oh,
and left. Yeah. And so my mom and
I
aunt
see.
came to visit me, and the doctor said, "You need to go with them. You need to take her. We don't have anywhere to put her." And it was true. I didn't have any place to go. And so
Mhm.
my mom, I got on the plane. I went and got my rabbit. I had a rabbit. Went and got my rabbit and the few clothes that I had. And I was on a plane moving to Florida in the blink of an eye. It was like
Mhm.
you had no idea that was going to happen. And now, mind you, I still couldn't. I could walk a
Mm.
few steps with a walker. By that time, I had a lot more of my arms and hand movement back.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to actually feed myself and brush my teeth, but I couldn't get in and out of the bathtub or anything like that. So
Mm.
my mom had to put one of those handicap toilets by my bed, had to wear diapers, the whole thing.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so I moved to Florida. And so this is where the second half of the story begins. Let me take a drink of water. Oh my goodness. So, moved to Florida to this little town called Niceville. That's a real
Hmm.
name of a city, Niceville, Florida. Sounds like a cartoon town to me, you know.
Yeah, it does.
Nice.
It does. That's what I was thinking.
But it's right across it's south of Pensacola. It's on the Gulf side, like an hour south of Pensacola. And across the bridge is a little town called Destin, Destin, which is a
Mhm.
very rich area. Um, Michael Jordan has a house there. Several people do, but so we moved to Niceville, and we're out, me and my sister, my mom are out eating um, at Longhorn. I don't know if y'all have a Longhorn Steakhouse where you live,
I don't
but
I don't know if I don't
it's
think we've
kind
got
of
them where
like
I'm
out
at.
back.
Yeah,
We
kinda like
were
an Outback.
eating in the bar, and anyway, it's kind of like Outback, but
Yeah.
we were eating in the bar, and we heard this group of guys talking, and my mom worked for a builder, and they were talking about her company. And so me and my sister kind of started chatting with these guys. And long story short, I started dating one of the guys, and he was only about 5 years older than me. So
Yeah,
I
more normal.
stopped dating younger guys. Now, I was on a walker, still getting a lot of my faculties back, you know, and he would come pick me up at my mom's. Now, my mom wouldn't let me drink, and I had quit doing any of the other stuff by this time, but I was a
Mhm.
heavy drinker. And he would come pick me up, and so I would go to his house, and we would sit up all night talking, and I would be drinking, and I ended up moving in with him. And
Hmm.
I stayed for about, I want to say 6 months. And then I just didn't
Mhm.
like him anymore. So I moved back in with my mom. And a week later, I found out. Now, I was 39 by this time. Never had
Mhm.
any kids because I was too busy partying, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
stop that lifestyle dumbly. That
Yeah.
was a bad choice. But I didn't want to bring a kid into the world when I was drinking or
Mhm.
drugging, you know. So I just
Mhm.
never had one. And so I moved back in with my mom, and a week later, I find out I'm pregnant. But I'm pregnant with twins.
Oh, wow.
So here I am hobbling around on a walker, and I'm getting pregnant. And like, I couldn't believe it. I turned 40
Wow.
while I was pregnant, and had him when I was 41. Now, the little girl, she died when I was 15 weeks
Oh.
pregnant. So I only carried him to full term. Well, he was early, he was a month early, but
Yeah.
they had to leave her in because it was too dangerous to try to open me up while, you
Mhm.
know, I had him healthy. So I went through that, and
Mhm.
Noah was born exactly to the day a month early. And he was a preemie, and he was so tiny, so tiny. And he's the love of my life. And like, I just got chills going down my legs and arms because I just love him so much. You know how it is when you
Yeah.
have a child.
Oh, yeah.
I never
Absolutely.
understood the love a mother can have. You know, my
Yeah.
sister, that's how
Yeah.
she loved her kids that way, but I never understood it, you know,
Yeah.
until I had my own.
Yeah.
And so by this time I was fighting Social Security, and I went in front of that judge, that Social Security judge, and he gave me first go around, which I hear is almost impossible, but he granted me my disability. the first
Uh-huh.
time. But he said, "Oh, you have a child." And I'm like, "Yes, it's crazy. I got pregnant after I had my accident." He's like, "Oh, well, if you can have sex, then you're not that disabled." He said, "I'm going to give you a back payment from the date of your accident up until the birth of your son." And that was like $28,000 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But he wasn't going to give me payments on a monthly basis, which was so
Yeah.
shitty. Like the whole courtroom
Yeah.
couldn't believe he said that, you know?
Yeah. That's
And
crazy.
so I got my big payment, and I think I got a car and, all the normal stuff. I went to the liquor store, and but my attorneys fought that, and another judge granted me my monthly disability. So I've been on
Yeah.
disability since 2002. But
Wow.
of course, since I had jobs mainly where you get tips, I never reported my tips. I didn't pay
Yeah.
much into the system, so I get the lowest amount you can get. Okay,
Yeah.
which I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. I am so
Oh, I
grateful
understand.
I get what I
Yeah.
get. It's tough, and I could never afford a place on my own. I mean, um,
Yeah.
so I was doing pain pills by this time, and after I had quit drinking while I was pregnant, but after he came, I started drinking immediately. I wasn't breastfeeding. Um, it just didn't work out. He was on formula, and so I started
Yeah.
drinking again. And I picked up right where I left off. I was drinking a lot, so I put myself in rehab. I was gone from my little baby. I think he was 9 months old for a whole month, which was devastating. But my
Mhm.
grandmother came and took care of him while I was, in rehab. And we were still at my mom's house. So my mom was there
Mhm.
at night, and he had his dad. So, and he was so young, he remembers none of that.
Yeah.
So I got off alcohol, and, but I was on pain pills. So,
Mm.
and I had never messed with pills before that. It was always either cocaine or booze. And so I was on the pain pills. And in 2010, it's in Florida. That's when all of the pill mills started popping up around Florida.
Mhm.
And so I was driving all over Florida, three different places, getting pain pills from three different doctors.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. So I didn't get in trouble though for that, which is amazing. But someone had borrowed like 30 pills from me, borrowed. And
Mhm.
he got his prescription back, but didn't want to pay me back. And he was at my house. And so I go in the bathroom, I call this friend of mine, and I said, "This so and so is here. He's not giving me my pills back. He's about to leave. Come take them from him.
Yeah.
Take his, and so I can find back." Well, he called a friend of his, and instead of just strong arming the guy was little. He was about my size.
Yeah.
And these other two were big old country boys. And they hit him in the face with a damn baseball bat. Yes. Knocked his teeth out. I
Mm.
mean, it was, his mouth was bad, but
Yeah.
it didn't like knock him out, or he didn't have blood going everywhere, but they did get him in the mouth. I ended up catching the same charges as them, um, which is, I forget what they ended up being, some violent charge, like some
Yeah.
kind of assault with a deadly weapon or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I went to jail. I spent 3 months in jail trying to fight going to prison, but
Mhm.
they wouldn't have it because I had been down before. So I got a 3-year sentence. The guy that did it got 8 years. The guy that actually hit him, got 8 years. and that was
Wow.
his first offense. And the guy that was with him got 4 years. It was his first offense. So off I go to prison. It was the most miserable experience of my life. Let me tell you, Florida is nothing nice.
Yeah. I've heard
And
that.
they make you do, in Missouri, you only do like 30% of your time.
Mhm.
In Florida, you do 80% of your time.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing almost the whole 3 years. And when
Wow.
I went in, I weighed, let me tell you, I weighed 120 pounds. By the time I left there, I weighed 185 pounds, if you can
Wow.
imagine. I was so heavy and so miserable. And
Mhm.
now, mind you, when I went to prison, they did, for some reason, they weren't told that I didn't have use of my legs, you know? And I get to this big old intake prison. It's the biggest women's prison in Florida. It's where
Uh-huh.
everybody has to go till they get classified and
Mhm.
sent here or there. And it's where they keep the women lifers there. It's a very ugly, dark place to be. And there are some really mean women there, let me tell you.
I bet.
And I was scared a few times. I really was. But I
I
get
imagine.
there and they spray you down with this stuff and make you stand in a shower, a whole bunch of you lined up, spraying you with bug spray. So in case you have lice.
Mm.
And I couldn't walk. And I had to have help standing up, and they're like so mean. They're like, well, it doesn't
Oh,
say here you need a wheelchair. I'm like, I can't help that. I can't walk. Anyway, I
yeah.
spent like 8 hours that day waiting for a doctor to give me a wheelchair. Anyway, it just got worse from there. It was just terrible.
Yeah.
I ended up getting sent to a minimum security
Mhm.
prison, and which was only like 2 hours away from where I lived. So my mom and son would come visit me. And
Mm.
I cried every day. And we were still allowed to smoke at the time, which was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
But halfway through my sentence, they stopped all smoking. That's why I got so fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
I
ramen
imagine.
noodles, those ramen noodles sure did taste good when I couldn't have a cigarette.
Well, and it's all processed, it's so much of
Oh,
it's
it's
processed
horrible.
that yeah.
Horrible. But, we got a new warden, and it was a private prison, and he brought in a salad bar. So we actually had, like, towards the end of my sentence, we were having salads 2 days a week, like, big, nice
Wow.
salad. That was a real treat.
I bet.
But
So you were there till about 2013, right?
13. I think I got it out in like March or April of 2013.
Yeah.
And I had, started like a lot of people do. I was religious, like in and out my whole life. Like my mom used to take us to church, and when I was older, I would go now and then. And um, I didn't go that much like when I was with my ex-husband, but we would go on Easter and Christmas
Yeah.
in Las Vegas. And so when I was in prison, they had a special dorm where you could spend 6 months and do a course, a religious course. But it
Mhm.
was IBLP, if you know anything about that. Have you ever heard of the IBLP?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's I forget the man's name, but it's a cult. It's a cult.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say it's a cult, but
And people have been on cults to
yeah. Yeah.
consciousness. So linked to a few people that grew up in that P group. And
Yeah,
so that's what
it's
they're
on my
teaching in
list of
Florida
ones to
prisons.
study.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Bill Gothard. It's Bill Gothard. Yeah.
Wow.
Sarah
Yeah.
Bowman said Bill Gothard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Gothard. All his teachings,
Yeah.
I thought was really weird stuff when I was doing it, but I didn't, argue about it.
Yeah.
So when I get out, I had changed my life, and I was reading into my Bible a whole lot, and that worked well for me for a while until I got back on the pain pills. But I live in such chronic pain that if I don't have
Yeah.
something to help relieve it, I lie in bed. And I had
Yeah.
he was 6 by that time, and I needed to take care of my son. And, he was in kindergarten, first grade, and I, needed to get up and be able to get him off to school. And so I got back on pain medication and did real good for about 5 years. And then I lost my doctor ended up going to prison because he
Oh,
wrote
wow.
some bad prescriptions or something. And the area we lived in was very small, and there was only like 3 pain management doctors. And so at times I would have to get pills here and there, and I started doing it more than I should have. And my mom in 2019 told me, go to rehab or move out. And so, of course, I went to rehab. She drove me up to Georgia, which is where I went to rehab, because I couldn't find any place in Florida that took my insurance.
Yeah.
So she dropped me off. And actually, I live in Jacksonville. It's only about 2 hours north of where I live right now, which is really funny. But I detoxed and went through rehab, did real good. That took about 6 weeks. And my mom she called the rehab and told them to tell me that I don't have a place to live anymore. I'm not welcome back there. I'm not her daughter. She doesn't know me anymore. And to don't ever come back. And I thought, wow, she's really mad.
So she had your son, right?
And
Is that who had your son?
Yeah, she had my son. He was, by this time, like in 2019, I think he was 15. He was a sophomore, and I thought I was just going to be gone a month or 6 weeks, and I'd be coming right back.
Yeah.
I never, I mean, I've seen him since then, but I missed his high school years. It was just devastating. I was really close to my son. And I'll start crying if I talk too much about him because I love him so much. And so I thought that, but anyway, my mom ended up being in his ear, and me and him grew up. He'll still talk to me, but barely. But he treats my mom like the mother. Okay.
Yeah.
And so let me back up a little bit. So I get out of rehab and I have nowhere to go. So Richard, my ex-husband, was living in California at the time. So I thought, well, I hadn't seen him in 30 years. I'll go visit him. So I went to visit him and stayed there a couple of months. I thought, my mom would cool off. She never cooled off. Never cooled off. Never would let me back. So my ex and I start fighting. So I leave his house in Northern California and I take a train to Austin, Texas. That was the coolest train trip. But I have a lot of family in Austin. And actually, my real dad had just moved there. And so I thought, well, out of all this family, there's going to be someone that I can call and, I can figure out what to do. Well, my mom had gotten to all them, and I don't know what she told them, but none of them would let me come to their house. Not even my father. And him and my mother had not spoken in 50 years, but somehow he got a message that I was fucked up or something and you better not help her, or I don't know. I never have found out what my mother told all these people. But so I had enough money to get a hotel for about a week. And on the last day, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was in a wheelchair.
Mm.
I had this big old suitcase. I had never ridden a bus before. I didn't know how bus
Oh,
systems
wow.
worked. I didn't even know where I was going. So I go to a bus stop, or no, I forget what happened. Somehow I end up in downtown Austin, and I asked the hotel if I could leave my suitcase there until I found a place to go, because I couldn't be in a wheelchair and drag around a suitcase. And
Yeah.
they let me. They ended up robbing everything out of my suitcase. It was terrible.
Oh.
But so here I am, my first night downtown Austin, Texas, and everything starts closing, because it's getting that time. And the only thing open was a Taco Bell. And this was right on the main
Mm.
street, Guadalupe Street in downtown, right across the street from it's where they protest on Guadalupe. But I was down a few blocks. The University of Texas was across the street. And I ended up talking to this man. And of course, he was a street urchin.
Mm-hmm.
And so he taught me the ropes a little bit. I learned how to use the bus, and there was a Salvation Army in downtown Austin that he helped me get to. And so I moved into the Salvation Army, but you had to be in at 7 o'clock at night. And that's early. That's real early. And it was still light out. And, how about if I didn't want to go home at 7 o'clock? Well, then you would get kicked out if you didn't come back, So I was real good for a month or two. But I started meeting people, and I stayed clean this whole time. I'd stayed clean. I would have a drink now and then, but nothing heavy or anything. And I stayed off of everything except a drink now and then. But I started meeting people, and then I would stop going back to the Salvation Army. And then finally they're like, they didn't ever kick me out. I left. I told them, you can have my bed, because I had found this guy and this girl, and they were letting me stay at their house. But it wasn't a house. It was a house. It was government housing. And they weren't supposed to be having people move in with them, and so anyway, I was on the streets of Austin, Texas for 2.5 years. Wow. And about 2 years after I was on the streets, and I'm telling you guys, I went through a lot. I got robbed a lot. I got mistreated a lot.
Well, and you're in a wheelchair at the time.
Yeah.
Right? So.
I did do a GoFundMe and raised enough money from my old high school friends to, I got an electric scooter. So that was a bonus. Downtown Austin is very hilly, and there's no way.
Yeah, it is.
There's no way you could do that in a regular wheelchair. So I had an electric scooter, and I learned the bus system. And I would buzz around that town, and I had fun some days, but most days were just miserable. And my mom never would let me come back, and she ended up getting rid of all my stuff. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about the stuff that I lost, but all my art supplies and my tools, all my clothes, and all of my Coach purses, and all of my everything. And she didn't even give me a chance to come back and move it, But so 6 months after 2 years, I started dabbling a little bit with the pain medication, and
Mhm.
got back on it. So I did that for about 6 months, and then I took a bus to Florida and went back, put myself in rehab. So I
Mhm.
was in Naples, Florida,
Mm.
and I started reaching out to my mom, and she still wouldn't let me come back. My son was going to be a senior that year, and I wanted to be there for his senior year, but nope, she wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
So the only person I could call that I knew was my ex-husband. Now,
Yeah.
you guys, there is no way I would be living with him if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And um, sure, I could get on a housing list, and I might do that someday. But I mean, he's 88, and I have gotten it to where, I mean, we used to fight like cats and dogs, and we still
Mhm.
will argue because I don't listen to him. I don't let him run over me anymore. I don't let him tell me how bad I am. And had I listened to him, I wouldn't be where I am now. I don't listen to his shit. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm mean about it because I have to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't feel good being that mean, but I'm not going to take his crap. I'm just not. And I don't care. He threatens to throw me out. And I'm like, do it. I've been there before. Do it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't. I
Mm.
do, but I don't. But
Yeah.
I bluff, you know.
Yeah.
Um so my mom, after I moved back in with Richard to Northern California, he's ready to get out of there, and I talk him into going back to Florida so I can be close to my son. So
Yeah.
we moved to Jacksonville. By this time, my son, I go to his high school graduation, and then he starts going to school up in Kentucky. He's going to a
Yeah.
college where he's playing football, and but like I said, treats my mother like a mother. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not mom. He won't let me be a mom anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he just turned 21, and I know he has a lot of things going on because at 21 you do, and I
Yeah.
understand that. But damn, it would be nice if he would spend a Christmas with me, or and I just don't have the money to fly him here and do all the things that my mom can do for him. And
Yeah.
so it is devastating. The past year, I've been a little bit better about it, except he did not call me Mother's Day, which was,
Yeah. I remember
I
that.
made a video of myself at 3 a.m. curling my hair on
I
Mother's Day.
saw it. I saw it. And I
I didn't
cried
post
with
it.
you.
I didn't post
Well,
it,
I
did
saw when you were talking about it. I think you
Yeah, when I
posted
was
it.
talking about it, I talked
Yeah.
about it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I might make some shorts. It was
Well,
pretty
I
funny.
was crying when you were
It was
talking.
pretty funny, but it wasn't funny. But
So how did
so
you how did you get into the anti-Scientology stuff?
well, I've always been interested in religion, and after I got out of prison, I forgot. There's a lot of parts of my story I didn't that I left out.
Yeah.
Like after when my son started, when he was in grade school, I went back to college. I turned 50 and went back to college, and wanted to get my bachelor's so I could start earning money and have my own place. I was tired of living with my
Yeah.
mom, and that's when things started going south, and I went to
Yeah.
rehab.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just have a semester or two before I'm finished with my bachelor's. But um, what was the question? I'm sorry. I just
Oh,
totally.
how you got into the Scientology thing.
Oh,
How you
and
got it.
so I took every religious course that there was because I was I was reading my Bible, like I said, after I have to
Yeah.
open this hot soda. Um, and I was just real interested in religion. And so, hold on one second.
You're right.
So I started, in college, I learned about a lot of different of the Eastern religions and stuff like that, but they don't teach you about cults at the college I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
at. So
yeah.
I started diving into Mormonism and learned a lot about that, to where I got oversaturated with it. And so I thought I saw stuff come up about Scientology on YouTube. And so I started listening to that. And that was about the time Marilyn was getting into it. Clearwater Chad was getting into it. I'm not sure exactly when you started.
I've
I
been in
don't know.
about a year and a half, so
I think I was a few months before you, not long.
yeah. You were one of the
But
first people I met, though. I was just like, "She's
yeah.
so cool."
And so yeah, and then that was, I didn't start a channel until about, I want to say, almost a year later.
Yeah,
After Aaron had his fallout with the aftermath, and
yeah, yeah.
when Reese came onto the scene, I think I had just started my channel right before Reese, or right
Yeah, I
after.
think so. Right
And
in there somewhere.
yeah, and I went on the cruise with all those people, but so many people that were supposed to go didn't go. So it was
Yeah,
fun, but it was a little disappointing because, there's only a handful of us left. And
yeah,
the group that that went are a lot. My two roommates are Reese's PCs. They're in
yeah,
Reese's chat. One of them's a mod. So a lot of those people stick with her, and
yeah.
some of them are in DOA's camp.
Oh,
So the
yeah,
people that were on the cruise aren't people that I have stayed in contact with or anything.
yeah.
But I did get to, this is a bonus. I did get, since Aaron and Farrell Cheryl came to see us in Miami, did get to meet
Yeah.
them. I got to meet Jenna
That's
and
cool.
Natalie. And so that was like the best part of, I mean, the cruise was
Yeah.
through. It was an 8-day cruise, and I had a good time. I really did. I didn't do a lot. We sat outside and looked at the beautiful water and smoked, and I didn't drink very much. I think I only had 2 drinks the whole time, but it
Yeah.
was fun. And
Yeah.
I had gotten I had lost a tooth about 6 months before the
I
cruise, and I
remember that.
was
Yeah.
real
I remember that.
self-conscious. So,
'Cause you do this all the time.
yeah.
When you
And
yeah.
so in August, I waited till August, and I went to a dentist, and he's like, and this cruise was in September. We actually left September 20th, the day of my birthday. And he's like, this is going to be pushing it real close, but he went ahead and pulled all my top teeth, and I got these. And
Yeah.
so, but it was so soon after that I could barely eat. And,
Oh, wow.
all that food on a cruise looks so good, but I
Yeah.
was eating bread and soup, and it
Yeah.
was a lot of ice cream. I ate a lot of ice cream.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that was the only.
So I'm gonna go to some of the starred comments because 'cause we've
Okay,
got quite a few, so we might need to see
okay,
what they're talking about. Okay.
okay,
So, some of 'em will be for you, some will be for me, so I'm just gonna read them all.
okay.
Okay, A Tribe Called Duff says, "Hi, Susie in chat. Your hair is cool, very Ann Lennox." Thank you.
I
I thought so too, really, and
love it.
it's curly again because of the chemo, but, not now, I'm not on chemo now, but from before, it
Yeah,
came in
yeah,
curly, and the longer it would get, it would straighten out a little bit. But when I cut
yeah.
it today, it just went right back up to the curls.
That's good though,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
having short and having it curly gives you some sass, some
Yeah.
body.
Well, and in the summer, I am so busy
Yeah.
in the pool and everything that this is just so much easier for me because it's just I don't know. Anyway,
If I was brave, I'd get this all cut off.
yeah,
I've
I
never
think
had
it looks
hair
good, but
this
you've
long.
got really pretty. You've got
I've
beautiful
never
hair,
had
though.
hair this long, so that's why I'm keeping it.
Yeah. Indigo says it's great that you have such awesome support from Daniel.
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
been so nice, but so have so many of these people
Oh,
in our
yeah.
community, And you're right up there with them, Susie.
Oh, well, thank you. I try.
Yeah.
You're easy to love. I think, I just
So are
consider you
you.
one of my
So
good friends.
there's, I think there's a good group that we've settled into, you know?
Yeah, I do too. I do
Yeah.
too. You know, Aaron was saying the other day that, he thinks that, and so did Natalie, that they both think that, that we're just gonna kind of find our own, and
Yeah.
build from there again, and
Right.
and that
Right.
the
Right.
rest of them have kind of went by the
Oh
wayside.
gosh, thank goodness.
I
I mean,
know.
and God bless them. God bless them. Do what you
Yeah,
want. Just I don't want to be
yeah,
part of it.
yeah. So Indigo says, "Is there a defining moment that led you to turn things around?"
Um, well, when I put myself in rehab to stop drinking after when my son was 9 months old, that was a real big
Mhm.
deal. And like I'm an addict and I believe strongly in AA because it helped me tremendously, but I don't go
Mhm.
anymore mainly because I don't drive right now.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
Mr. him
Mhm.
does not believe in AA. He
Ew.
doesn't believe in addiction.
Ah,
We had an argument the other night because he says there's no such thing as addiction. If you can believe that, that's the kind of thing I have to deal with. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I understand.
So yeah, so I stopped drinking, but like I said, I have a drink now and then. If
Yeah.
I ever felt that I was getting too much on it, I might stop, I might not. No, I don't
Yeah.
know. Uh, I haven't gone back to the drugs. I do take pain medication,
Yeah.
which I'm afraid, it's either that or my quality of life goes down.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to fight anybody about it. I do what I do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So Darcy said that she was 16 and in the bars.
Yeah.
And Mischief says she was the class of 1980.
Oh, me too. Cool.
Mhm.
Cool. It just started raining here.
Yeah. It
Yeah, I
looks
can
like
hear
it's
it
going to here. I keep looking. Um, Darcy said that she would have graduated in 82. I graduated in 84.
out. Okay. Yeah, my sister, she didn't actually graduate high school. I told you she ran away at 13, but she did get
Yeah.
A GED, and
Yeah.
then she got her bachelor's when she was in her late 40s.
That's cool though. That's cool.
Yeah.
Mare says that she was the class of 69.
Oh, wow.
Said for real.
I
Lori
never
Driscoll's the
would have
class of
guessed that.
82.
Mare does not look like she would be from the class of 69, does she?
Uh-uh. Uh-uh. Nope. Let's see here.
1980, your aunt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Joel's the class of 72.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Well,
thank you, Daniel. He got me 5 gifted
isn't he
memberships,
sweet?
Susie.
Isn't he
Yes,
sweet? He is
very
so sweet.
sweet.
Hey, y'all, I
Thank
wanted to
you.
mention, I didn't tell you this either, Susie. My memberships have been turned off on my channel because I got an email telling me I needed to verify my identity, but I didn't see it. And they give you 45
Oh,
days, but I missed it. And the whole thing is a mess right now. So they put my
oh,
memberships on hold, if you can believe that.
ah,
And I'm having to deal with that. And I had a big meltdown the other night. And I have
yeah.
AI helping me. But if there's anybody that knows anything about this stuff, I sure could use a phone call and some questions answered.
Yeah.
You know?
So Indigo says, "What do you think contributed to the allure of drugs? Did it feel like freedom? Do you think it was the community that you felt while using? If that's not too personal."
Gosh, when I started doing it, it's because I was 17, almost 18. I thought I was a hot shit and everybody was doing
Yeah.
coke. And I just liked it. So I just kept doing it.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize, when it starts affecting every part of your life, you need to back off. I didn't
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started dating and then ended up marrying a drug dealer so I could keep doing it.
Mhm.
Um, but
Mare says
he
that
did,
her youngest sister started at 18, was really
yeah.
good money. I think she's talking about the stripping. Yeah,
Oh,
is when we were talking about the stripping, and said it was
yeah,
really good money, but a lot of nose candy.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
and
Hey,
the
Dusty.
stripping was the best job I ever had, y'all. I loved it
Yeah.
because my body was so in such good shape. Wear 5 inch
Mhm.
heels every night and walk and move
Mm.
around. I have no rhythm.
I couldn't walk. I
I
could not
cannot
walk
dance
without.
a lick. You don't have to know how to dance. And my
I can
boobs,
dance, but I can't walk in those heels.
I had to learn. My boobs are
Mm.
small, but that didn't matter. My backside looked good, and my legs were in good shape. So, and I got to play
Yeah.
like it's like dressing up. You have beautiful costumes, and I just
Yeah.
had fun.
Daniel says, "I'm firmly against drugs, especially the hard ones.
Yep,
I've seen so many lives destroyed by it. I have too. I have
yep.
too,
I'm in a
Daniel."
wheelchair because of them. Yep.
Yeah. Dusty says, "You mean I'm playing games with criminals?"
Yeah. Yeah, the way I look might fool a lot of people. It might not.
You
I
better
don't
watch
know.
out. You better watch out, Dusty.
Yeah, you
You
never
know,
know,
you
huh?
all of a
So,
sudden you start hanging with criminals, ex-criminals, and now, guilt by
yeah,
association.
yeah. But
Uh,
yeah. You
oh,
think I would
Misha
have
says,
learned a long
"Nervous
time
now."
ago.
She says, "Honesty is not respected in the court, sadly. It's who you know, what you know, and how much money you have."
It's the money.
Yep.
It's the money.
Uh-huh.
Look, OJ Simpson freaking killed somebody and got away with it. I
Yeah.
had some white powder and went and had to go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Tiff 420 says, "My ex's stuff turned into a yard sale. It was a Saturday, or it was Saturday,
Oh,
this
that's
past
funny.
Saturday."
That's
Oh my.
funny.
Darcy said she was 13 when she started smoking.
Oh,
Man.
wow.
Thank you, John. He's always so sweet. He's telling me I have a nice haircut. His wife is
I tried to
adorable. I
email
love
John. I tried to email John the other night to play the game, but
Yeah.
it came back to me, so I don't know.
Yeah. John says, "Love it." He's so sweet. I was kinda scared of him for a little while because he's very, excited all the time, and I was just like, "I don't know." But when he came on my show that first night, I
Yeah,
already liked him, but I was a
I
little
liked
nervous. I thought,
I
"Oh,
liked it when he played the
oh."
headbanger music.
Yeah, he's something.
I
And his
have taught
kids.
myself how to play the ukulele a little bit.
Mhm.
Oh,
Bishop
thank you,
says,
Miss.
"Oh god, Kelly, I'm so sorry about your little
You
girl."
know what? A lot of people, I didn't go through that much of a crisis. And this is
Mhm.
why, because I still had my son in
Yeah,
my belly. And
and it was
I
early
truly,
on.
I truly believe that your everything about you affects your unborn child. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to be sad and miserable while I was
Mhm.
carrying him. I wanted to be
Understood.
happy that I had him. And
Uh-huh.
so I just kind of clicked it in my brain, you know, and I didn't
Yeah.
forget, but I didn't dwell.
Huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I understand. So Sarah Bowman says Institute of Basic Life Principles. Yep, it's a cult. It's on
it
the
is.
list, the cults that I'm gonna cover. It's on the list. I think I'm doing the Mormons. It's either gonna be this week or next week I'm doing the Mormons, and then after
They're
that,
a
I'm doing that.
whole nother story.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's gonna
gosh.
be interesting. I've already started a little bit.
They're bad. And, but
Yeah.
I want to say not as bad, but I think they are as bad. They just have a lot more money.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It's a little bit different, but they do just as bad of things.
Yeah.
They might
Yeah.
not have prison camps like Scientology does,
Yeah.
did,
Yeah. But still.
but I mean they're bad.
So Misha says, "I absolutely adore you, Kelly.
Oh,
Your
thank
story
you.
your story goes to show how someone's rap sheet isn't a person's whole story. Many of us have pasts. Only some of us have them documented. I see you." Aw.
Thank you.
That's
That's
a
so
really
sweet.
nice that
That
is a
is.
great comment.
That
That is a
is.
great comment.
Thank you. And let me tell you,
Yes.
once you've been to prison and you do your time, you think hopefully, um, that's it. But it
Yeah.
affects you the rest of your
Mhm.
life. I can vote.
Absolutely.
They let us
Yeah.
vote again.
Yeah.
For a long time, felons couldn't vote. But we
Yeah.
can't protect ourselves. We can't have a gun in the house. I mean, I don't like
Yeah.
guns. I'm afraid of them. But
Yeah, but still.
if
Yeah.
I did, I could be thrown back in for having it. So,
Yeah.
they do punish you your whole life. But oh well.
Mhm. So, Mare says she was trying to use tough love to keep you on the straight and narrow, but it wasn't right. Yeah, she did. Talking about your
Yeah.
mom.
She went overboard with the tough love though,
Yeah.
because she to this
Yeah.
day doesn't talk to me. And
Yeah.
she got ovarian cancer, has pulled through that, but she ended up moving out of Florida when my son went to college, and she lives in Austin, Texas now. That's where my son
Yeah.
is right now. That's where he spends his summers. And
Mm.
if I could, that's where I would move. When he dies, I will
Yeah.
probably move to wherever my son is living,
Yeah.
because my mom's
Yeah.
not going to live forever. And
Yeah.
he'll have to start calling me mom again someday, right? You would think.
Yeah. You'd think. Misha says it's hard being all alone in the world. I hate you had to go through that or go through all
I'm
that you
telling
have.
you, not having and growing up, like our family was
I don't know how you
close.
did it.
It kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of how you talk about your family. And so when
Yeah.
everybody abandoned
Thinking about
me, I just couldn't believe it. And to this day, I wrote a letter to my aunt, my mom, and my uncle. They all three live together. My one aunt has a lot of
Mhm.
money, big old house.
Mm.
And I wrote all three of them, mailed them the same day, and they should have gotten them either yesterday or today. So I don't know if I'll
Yeah.
hear from them. And I didn't write anything mean, but I wrote some things kind of firmly saying that it's
Yeah.
cruel. It's not right. This is not what families do to each other. Y'all
Yeah.
need to come around and start promoting healing and come on. We're
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Hey, Heat. This is class of 2004 here. I was born in 85.
Oh
I could
wow.
technically be your mom.
Me too. I could probably be the
Graduated in
grandma.
84. My
I could be the
daughter was born in 86. So, yeah,
yeah,
we're
I
just
didn't
a
have my
family.
son. Listen, I was 41 when I had him. Can you imagine? Ugh,
Mm. Okay. Serena, Courtney,
hell.
I don't recognize that name, but it's good to see you. My aunt graduated 1980, Cornell class of 84. Oh, you glad yeah. Wow. Awesome.
That's a one of those Ivy League schools.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, got all impressed for a minute, and I was thinking, "Damn, I'm feeling dumb." Said, "Dude was twirling around a fire baton in high school during halftime at a football game." Ah, the '70s. Safety what? Yeah. Yeah.
I was
I didn't
actually on
twirl
the
a fire one, but I did twirl a
neither did
baton.
I.
I
I
didn't do
didn't.
the fire.
I was the one like in the long line. In Texas, it's a big
Yeah.
deal to be on the drill team.
Oh, yeah.
We all wore wigs, so our hair would be the same haircut. We had our hat, cute little uniform with boots, and we would take up almost the whole field. There was like 90 of us, and we would do the
Wow.
high kicks.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Wow. John says anytime. That's probably to play in games or something. I'm not sure. So anyway, John says, after everything you've been through, it's inspirational that you are still shining light that you are, Kelly. Bless you.
Oh, thank
Aw.
you. That's so nice. I try to
You're
be,
so
you know
sweet,
what
Kelly.
what I like to do is be encouraging to people. I love
Yeah,
to encourage people. That's
you
what
always
makes
are.
That's what makes me feel good, is to encourage people. I just wish I could encourage myself a little better, you know?
Yeah. Aw. Isha says the system is set up for failure, in my opinion, especially female felons without support. I agree.
It
I've heard that a
truly
lot.
is. It truly is.
Really have. I've heard that a lot. I don't know why this
Luckily,
person.
I had graduated high school and, done some
Yeah.
college, because there's so many of those women in there that, boy, I just feel so bad for them,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah. Well, we've been right at 2 hours, so I
I
think
can't
we're gonna go
believe
ahead and
I
call
talked
it.
that
I
long,
know.
you guys.
Now,
I
y'all,
hope
if
it
you have
wasn't too
not
much.
already. No, no, you were great. You were great. I
Okay.
enjoyed it
Well, I
every
had a
minute of it.
blast.
Yeah, I did too.
So,
Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you being here. I'm excited.
yeah.
And
So y'all
y'all, if
know
you
a little
haven't
bit more about
already,
me.
yeah, you
I
learned a
have a lot.
lot, but you just
I have
gotta.
a lot more I could tell, but we'll do that another
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Thanks, Susan.
anyway,
Thanks, everybody.
I'm gonna go ahead and bop you off of here. I'll
Okay. See
talk to
y'all
you
later.
later.
Bye bye.
Isn't she lovely? Y'all, I mean, it is proof. Misha's right. It is proof that you are not your rap sheet. That doesn't tell the whole story, y'all. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here and go have some dinner with my husband. He should be home any second. He was going to buy a weed eater. So I'm gonna go see why he's not home yet. Probably ran into some rain. But anyway, guys, we'll be back tomorrow with another great episode or whatever this is. I don't know. So have a good evening. Love you all, and I will see you tomorrow.
Hope you enjoyed the show. So glad you were here. We meet here most days. We're but first coffee, and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee, and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't want to miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all.